In this video, I'm just going to be breaking down the recruiting board for College Football 25. Just going over it, seeing what we see, be breaking a few things down just so everyone can get to understand a little bit better. So, first we look at the top left. It says the team, it says recruiting, and then you can go through, it looks to be 5 things, the recruiting board, the prospect list, transfer portal, my school, and top classes. What I would assume to be is I would assume top classes is the game ranking the classes based on the prospects you signed and giving individual schools like rankings. You can see where your recruiting class ranks among others. See which one recruiting class is the best. I would say my school is most likely the prospects you signed. Transfer portal again is only open and available to go through during the off season, and during that time I would assume that there'd be a list of players that you could go through, scout potentially, and bring them along through your hours, which bring it to hours. If you look at the top right, it says your total number of hours. You can target up to 35 players. I would assume the 35 players won't change. I think you can only have 35 players on a recruiting board. But 600 hours, I would assume that there's a chance that we could be able to have more or less hours, depending on the skill tree. I wouldn't be surprised about that. And then scholarships, you can only give out 35 scholarships, which is equal to your prospects. But so if we look at the actual, and this prospect list, which I assume are the 35 people you've marked, or up to 35 people you marked, and then recruiting board. As we look at the prospect and trying to recruit the prospect to your school, let's start at the top. There's a picture of the prospect, first, last name, their star, their position ranking, their ranking, their field position, what kind of player or the player type. So for the left end, it's power rusher. For receiver, it could be speed or possession. As this says the class, which is high school. For transfer, it could say it's current or school is about to transfer out of. It also says its location of the high school, or it could be the location of their school. Like Michigan would be in Michigan, kind of thing. Then next to that, it has its height and its weight, the player's weight. Under that, we see 3 things: overview, recruiting, and scouting. The screenshot we're looking at is the recruiting screenshot. And to DM a player, it's 10 hours. Remember, there are 600 hours, it looks like. So it's 10 hours to DM player, which I assume is just getting in contact with them. There's 40 hours for a visit scheduled, which I would assume should be to fly the player out, watch your game, hopefully get them more interested in your program. Next one is friends and family at 25 hours. I assume that would be, I'm not sure, I would assume it would be you're kind of pitching it to their friends and family so they can kind of convince the athlete and make the friends and family more comfortable with the athlete going to your school. Another one is just scholarships offered. I know in NCAA Basketball 10, it was kind of similar to this, and I'm pretty sure that offering scholarship doesn't require any hours. And then a soft sell. So a soft sell looks pretty important. I think the pitch thing in the middle, all those icons you see in the middle, the pitch strategy, I think that correlates with soft sell and potentially friends and family. I think the soft sell, is to sell certain parts. I would say you probably through scouting you may learn what he values, and that might also be correlated to the highlighted part. You can see what he values, and then you can pitch your school based on that. I think that's what the icons are looking for. The icon that is hovered over a student of the game. That one particularly could be correlated with something like program tradition, maybe. Maybe if that's something they are looking for, that could be something that you pitch them. Trying to look at more SEC. They see at the bottom, the very bottom, the middle one, it says SEC. I think that one could be correlated with like competitiveness, like what does that one say? Championship contender. I think if that's highlighted, they may want that, and therefore you would pitch them that you're in the SEC and you're very competitive and you're trying to win in a very competitive conference. Now we swing our attention over to the right. We can see your grade, whether that may be your school in total or your specific coaching grade. And we see on the left side of what we're looking at here, there's red and green, and there's emboldened parts. So I think here the emboldened parts are the things the player values the most. And if there's X next to it, that means that you're not good enough at that for him to feel comfortable, like at that level that he's requiring or wants. And if the check mark next to it means like you're at that level. For example, on the right, we see an A, coach prestige, and the corresponding to check mark. It also happens to be highlighted, which then I would assume that he cares a lot about coach prestige, and he would want an A coach prestige that boosts his wanting to come to your school. If you look under, we can see, or we can look over, we see academic prestige. That's a B. It's also highlighted. It also has a corresponding X, red X. I assume that means you don't meet the required or wanted academic prestige, and because it's highlighted, it's something he values a lot, and that might take away from what you're trying to do. That's basically what we're looking at. We can see. Just one thing I want to touch over before it ends. I think, right, we're in the recruiting. We're looking at the recruiting part. I think scouting would just show the stats of the player. And overview, I would assume, would show stats. Obviously, the generics, that's the stuff above. I would assume the overview would show the other people attempting to recruit him and where you stack up against the other teams that are attempting to recruit this player to their program. That's what I think the overview is for. The scouting is obviously just like the player ratings. All right, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. I hope this helps you, and I can't wait for this game.